Okay, joining me here this evening is an actor from Northwest Indiana, Travis Joseph Ziegler. And Travis is going to be starring in the Little Shop of Horrors at Purdue Northwest Campus in Hammond, Indiana. The play is going to be coming up next month, and he has the lead role. He's going to be playing the character of Seymour. And Travis, I guess the first obvious question is to tell everyone, how did that come about for you?
Well, I have been in theater all my life, and Little Shop of Horrors is a movie I saw a long time ago. Rick Moranis is a character actor that I really connected with growing up, and then I heard about this audition coming up for Little Shop of Horrors at a university I used to go to, and I thought, why not give it a shot and see if it works out and something sticks.
And Travis is known for doing community theater here in Northwest Indiana. This is not your first show. Tell some of our audience what exactly is involved in community theater. A lot of people don't realize it, but it is a rather big production. It's a lot of work. Also, besides being the so-called star of it, you are also sort of a behind the scenes man and doing other things. Tell the audience what it takes to get a show like that off the ground.
The thing about community theater is not everyone is a professional. In Hollywood, you have different people dedicated to specific roles, as in a set designer or a production
Makeup
assistant or
artist,
makeup artist,
choreographer. Okay.
costume designer, or an actor.
Mhm.
Here, we kind of do as much as we want or can do. We are volunteers, and that's what we do. I'm a guy that likes to work with my hands. I build pallet furniture sometimes in my spare time, and I'm an actor, so I mean I've done a lot of set design on this show, and tried to put my foot in the door as much as I could so I could learn more.
Now, when you design a set, like for example, Little Shop of Horrors, obviously it's a shop. Do you go off of a blueprint? How do you do this?
The way this show has gone through, our director, Zachary Eugene Gibson, went to Columbia College and he came up with this new set design that makes things a lot better and easier to understand. There's a graph paper that has the design of like the regular platform that we will be working with. And then he had some styrofoam board that he kind of folded to fit the design of the walls and how things were set. And then we built the set from there, from just the regular blueprint of that. But there's no set blueprint. Every single show is different depending on who the production is and where it's going to be located.
Mhm. And there's a lot of work, obviously, that goes into putting together a show like this. When the audience comes and sees the show, it maybe goes by in 2 hours. It's all nice, it's all fun, everybody likes it, everyone had a good time, which is what it is supposed to be. But for an actor, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I take it preparation, rehearsals, blocking, making sure the lights are perfect. Tell us a little about that.
A lot of things go into different lines of the show. Like a light can be focused on one specific spot on stage, and it's fixed. So you have to make sure on that cue you're in that spot. And the same thing goes with everything. If you have a band that's playing for you, or if you have a recording, you got to know when the cue is that you have to start singing or say your line. Dialogue is always is the biggest issue until you get used to it. Making sure you know where you're at, you say what you're supposed to say to make sure the actor or actress that's supposed to say something after you can follow up, and it's not confusing, and everything's just fluid because they say as an actor you want to completely strip down the script so it makes it your own words.
Mm. Now, something I've always wondered, is it word for word? Do you do a little improvising?
Sometimes there is improvising because there's always mistakes, but when it comes to a script, you want to stick to the original as much as
You
possible.
need to stick to the plot line.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, tell us about music, everything. There's a lot goes into it. I mean, I've seen some local theater. I mean, there's actually an orchestra pit. There's an orchestra. Sometimes they just use soundtracks. Tell us a little about that.
Well, you have to know the music firsthand and foremost. Most of the time, a show in the Northwest Indiana has about 3 months of preparation in order to be ready for the show to be done. That's set design, not just music, but set design, music, choreography, all the music, all the dialogue, everything is fluid and running seamlessly. The show I'm currently in had a little over a month for preparation before it releases. So that has been a little bit more tedious, but at the same time, it helps you to focus more. The music that we will be using is a recorded track, kind of like in the style of karaoke. You have the music, and then you know when you're supposed to sing into it. It's different than what I've done before, but you everything is different in community theater.
Now tell us, when you go in and you audition for a role, like you're playing Seymour, do you go into audition with the mindset you're going for Seymour? That's what you want, or do you go in sometimes and you have no idea what you're going to be picked for?
Everybody has a different mindset when they come to auditions. A lot of people just love the idea of being part of a community theater, so they go and they will go with any part that they're given. Different auditions have different styles and how they run. Some people like to have a specific song from the show that everybody sings, so you know they can sing for that part. And then sometimes you bring in your own sheet music and have accompaniment played on the spot as you do it. This show, we didn't have any of it, but in some shows there is a need of a dance routine, and then there's script reading, and it's just to see which people coming out can work together and actually look good on stage together and can sound good on stage together and like kind of just go on it. And it's usually very dry reading, cold reading. Not many people know what's to come. I mean, generally for any script, and you just kind of go on a whim. And if you can do that, you can potentially act.
Now, people that do community theater, of course, it's not Broadway. There is no huge salaries involved in any of this. What does it take to do community theater? I mean, obviously talent, but is it a passion? What drives a person to do community theater?
Community theater, the word is in it. You have to. It's all about community. You have to have a heart for it, and the relationships you build with the people you work with are some of the longest relationships you will have ever. My first show I did, which was 3 years ago, my first musical 3 years ago, I still keep in touch. My first high school play I did, I still keep in touch with everybody from that show. It's all about community and the heart that you have to want it, because there's a lot of time.
It's a desire, correct?
Yes, there is a lot of time and effort and planning that goes into a community theater. You most of the time don't get paid, so you have to have a heart, and it has to be something that you want to do. It's volunteer, but it is the best time that I have personally in my daily routine, is going to rehearsal, talking with my fellow actors and production team, and then just going from there. That is the best time that I have.
Let me ask you, when you watch TV or you watch movies, do you watch it from a different perspective than a regular viewer? Like, for example, do you watch how actors work, what they do, how they talk, how they make motions?
Well, I've always loved movies and watching movies and television. There's a lot that I see as just a viewer listening to the story. The story is one of the most important things of it. And then it comes to, okay, let's see how this actor did it. Why did the actor decide to do that? Oh, what was the lighting choice? Why did they add that certain sound to the soundtrack, et cetera, et cetera? There's a whole bunch of different pieces of the puzzle that get put together to make it the masterpiece that it is. And I mean, some people just watch it for the viewing, and I've always just watched it in all of its aspects, or I try to. And if I don't, I watch it again. Like, for example, Disney's The Lion King, one of my favorite movies to watch as a child. I know all of the dialogue, every single piece, every single song. But then I think more into it. Like, I didn't realize until I was 11 that Matthew Broderick was the voice of Simba. And then I'm like, well, I've seen him in other things like Ferris Bueller, and I really wanted to see, well, what was his choices playing Simba versus, Ferris Bueller, et cetera, et cetera. There's all those different things that I think of I'm watching a film or watching television, et cetera, et cetera.
And what is the dream role that's out there for Travis Joseph Ziegler?
Star role that is Emmy award winning. I don't know. There's the skies are endless.
The sky's the limit.
The skies are endless. I did Shrek as Lord Farquaad, and I really liked that role, but I like to consider myself a character actor, and I really connected with the character Shrek, so that would be a really fun one. If I was to do that show again, in Greece I played Roger, which is the goofball fat T-bird out of the entire gang, and I'm like, well, it would be really fun to play Duty or Kaniki or Danny, and there's all those different characters that you can play, and I see it from like the whole story perspective. What can I add to that character that hasn't been done before?
And tell us also about theater here in Northwest Indiana. Obviously, it's popular. I never realized that myself until now. I've seen several plays out here. I mean, we can use an example as the Radisson. They're tearing down the theater, and people went wild. No, we want theater. We need theater in Northwest Indiana. So theater is obviously quite big around here. Is that your feeling?
I believe so. I have seen shows in 13 theaters in this area, in just Northwest Indiana. I've seen a few in Chicago, but I think what happened was a lot of what happened in Chicago got immersed outward towards Indiana. There's a lot of talent out here and a lot of people who want to do shows, a lot of people who see shows and they're like, well, I'd like to do that show, maybe a little differently, but I'd like to do it. And then they get into another theater to do it. There's a whole bunch of aspects to it, but Indiana has a lot of talent and has a lot of real estate for theater that I think could potentially grow even further, almost triple than what it currently is.
And your goals? Are we looking at Broadway? Are we looking at Hollywood down the road?
The skies are endless. I would really like to get into television and film, work with some of my idols growing up.
And that would be?
I love Jack Nicholson. I think he is just a model citizen and just so unique in his acting style. Robert De Niro, Jason Sudeikis, who's a little bit younger, more towards my age. There's so many that I would like to just pick at their mind and see how they do. But I mean, community theater is great. Broadway is great. I don't know if I have the skills to make it on Broadway and sell 8 shows a week for 6 months.
You mean you couldn't sing If I Were a Rich Man?
Oh, I could, but I don't think I'm the age quite yet to do Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay.
Skies are endless now. I am blessed with what I have been offered so far, and I would like to see where my career can go in the future.
Okay, so that is Purdue University, Northwest Campus in Hammond, Indiana. A Little Shop of Horrors coming in April. And Travis, the dates, tell the folks how they could get the tickets.
The show is going to be in the Student Union and Library building on the 3rd floor in Alumni Hall. The dates are April 22nd and April 29th at 8 p.m. and April 30th at 3 p.m. You can buy tickets at the door.
Okay. Once again, sir, thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
All the best with the show. And I have a feeling we'll be hearing more from this guy in the future.